Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Watson Weekend. We are your hosts. I am Rick Watson.
Hey, it's Jessica Liseski. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. This is your weekly dose of medicine with just enough sugar to make it go down a little bit easier. We are the go-to place for you in the world of retail, tech, e-commerce.
Yes, and we are not professionals at this, but we are getting there slowly. What do you think so, Rick? What do you think?
One day at a time. I think compared, look, the last year's first shows, they were a rough o'clock.
They sure were. Yes.
So
Yes.
thank you for sticking with us.
Yes, thank you guys. We really appreciate it. And this week's show, we also want to thank ChannelEngine. It's brought in partnership with them. We're so grateful to have them on board. And today we're going to be joined by their kite surfing camping lover, Jorrit Steinz, who is going to level the marketplace playing field for us today. We're super excited to unpack this. So we have a lot to go through, right, Rick?
We do have a lot to go through, and thank you for listening into the live broadcast. If you have comments, questions about marketplaces or any of our topics during the show, definitely feel free to let us know. And also a reminder, we are on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, any podcast platform. If you don't want to see our faces, I would understand that.
I would, but I don't know that my voice is any better. So,
Yeah.
flip a coin. Flip a coin.
Yeah. Even the bad podcast platforms we're on.
Yeah, we are. We don't discriminate.
No.
We like to hang wherever you are.
100%. So let's take us into the headline hangover. Jess, I think you have ASOS up, or are they down?
Yeah, it is more down than up. Although there is a very good news story if you're listening to their CEO, but their losses widened to 379 million. They are seeing green shoots. They're trying to get to a 50% gross margin. Our producer, Vinny O'Brien, actually did a nice unpacking of what's going down in the ASOS story, but it's not really a positive thing. You've got revenues down 16%. They are feeling like they're getting a hold of their inventory. Age stock levels declined by 60%, but that's pushing mostly through outlet channels like secret sales. So I think it's just wondering for me, what is really the ASOS strategy here? They talk about AI, they talk about videos, they talk about really where they're going and how to drive, lower returns and provide a greater experience for their customers. And they really were pioneers very early on. I don't know if you remember this, Rick. I certainly bought my fair share of ASOS just because of the homegirls walking down the runway and strutting it. It looked pretty good. So, but essentially, I think where we're at is like, where is ASOS's place in this landscape? They're not high end. You've got Shein and Temu really chipping away at their market share. So where do they go from here?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like as a company, they're aiming for 50% gross margin, especially in a discount environment. We're going to talk about a lot about the marketplaces on
Yes,
this
we
call,
are.
and particularly the ones that no one likes to talk about, the ones with minimal lead. And so
no prisoners.
No prisoners. And I think the story is when a CEO talks about green shoots, it just kind of means, I kind of go back to the old Monty Python skit, like, we're not dead yet. We're still here. I'm not sure where they go from here. I really have no answers for you today.
Is ASOS the Kmart of the EU?
I think Kmart were the last person with
minus the blue light
yeah,
special.
and the store turn out the last blue light. I think that's probably going to happen to ASOS at one point. Linda points out that they're selling on Shein. I think that definitely seems to be a trend with brands that go through bankruptcy. They end up on Shein. We'll talk about the Children's Place later on, which I don't know how many times Gymboree has gone through bankruptcy, but quite a number.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's actually a good place to pivot, right? Linda is almost like opening the door for us. She's got our segues down, because you've got our next story, which involves our friends at Shein. So if you had this on your bingo card, ding, ding, here we go.
Boom, boom. Yeah, I think Shein is interesting. So they have formed a partnership with the Children's Place, which is the owner of obviously the namesake brand, but also Gymboree in children's clothes. These are expensive children's clothes that your child will wear out in a week and a half. And so the question is, why does the Children's Place partner with a company like Shein? I have some interesting screenshots here talking about all the items here. If you look at see, just like a tremendous number of items. And I always love like
their
all
whole
the
inventory.
I love the badging on Shein. It's really my favorite
Yeah.
part. So this is the flagship store, the place. First of all, the place is always fun. Like the place is always screaming at you. The place.
It's the place. It's the
The
place to be.
trends, the choices. It's a brand. Just FYI, it's a brand. 4.98. I wonder what the 0.02 is missing. 100% authentic, not 99. That's important.
I mean, does this indicate that some things aren't 100% authentic, or is this just meaning that somebody hasn't, done like what you can do on Twitter, and you just pay for a blue badge and you can say who you are, whoever you want, or X now?
Yeah, it's interesting. So this is a product I found, and what I found the value proposition, this is eligible to get free shipping. You can put it up here. And if you look at, they're putting this item at $39.96 and $49.95 is the price. And I went and actually I found this product on Amazon. Amazon is look like they're fighting now, because a week ago I think they're responding to my blog post. I swear
Yeah, they are.
this same product was
I know.
$49.95 literally a week ago. I think Amazon has moved into promotion mode. They're fighting Rick Watson.
Well, you are breaking news. We've said that time and time again. So yes, they follow you. And also, this is just an indication of how quickly the world can change.
I
It's
know.
just one data scrape, and bada bing, bada boom, you've price matched.
So I think the idea is the Shein price is cheaper than their direct consumer price. There's a lot of people looking for values deals on Shein. There are a lot of parents looking to stretch their dollar.
Mhm.
And I think especially in a product that your kid's going to outgrow in 3 months, 6 months tops, it feels like a place to save money. The value prop should be cheaper than Amazon and ships a little longer. Amazon is just hit them with the right cross here. This is late breaking news here that you'll only find on the Watson Weekend.
That's right. I have one question for you. Is there a world where we see Shein manufacturing network and their the way that they use analytics and artificial intelligence and insights to predict what sells to now feed into the Children's Place assortment and merchandising strategy?
I think one thing that is unique about Shein is how much data they share back with their sellers and manufacturers. The issue with a lot of these companies, and I think Jamie Salter and Authentic Brands Group really pointed it out, is like, unless you completely reorient your supply chain to take advantage of this sort of thousands of manufacturers producing small
Mhm.
batches, and then you can analyze trends and increase your lot sizes from there, you're just competing with Amazon on price. I mean, is
Right.
that a winning proposition? And if you're 20% cheaper than Amazon, maybe. If you're 10% cheaper than Amazon, I think Amazon still wins that game with Prime.
Absolutely. And maybe trust a little bit too, which ironically you wouldn't think that
You
maybe
said
even 2
maybe
years
trust?
ago. I said
Maybe.
maybe because there's still a gravitation to, especially in children's clothing, you want to know the brand. And that's what Children's Place has been able to trade on, right? Is this just
Yeah.
legacy brand? I mean, my mom took me to Children's Place as a kid. That was like, only 5 years ago. But yeah,
I
so
want to remind you, Jess, 100% authentic. It's
exactly.
badged.
It's badged now. But I'm curious, do we find minimal lead coming through the Children's Place clothing at some point, because it
Yeah.
is going to enter into this network? And at what state do we find Children's Place e-com is outpaced by Shein and Amazon and some of these other marketplaces?
Yeah. I mean, I think from a volume point of view, it's not the most natural place to shop directly from the brand. Target obviously has some great house brands, Cat and Jack, and some of those. Burt's Bees has a killer baby business.
You know all about that now.
Yeah,
You're in that world.
Burt's Bees Kids is my favorite brand by far. But the real best place to buy baby products is on the Facebook Buy Nothing group, really. So
that is where the players go to play. If you're really wanting deals on children's clothing, it's Facebook
definitely.
Marketplace.
Yeah, you get a random bag of 200 clothes that are stained and have strange smells, and then you take what you want and you give it to the next person.
Yeah, it's like your online garage sale. All right. Well, we're going to be watching this closely and see what other things pop up. In other related news and talking about Amazon following you, we talked about what Andy Jassy's move was with this whole strategy of return to office. And they really are trolling you, Rick, because Andy had a comeback lately, right?
Yeah, I think Andy is saying, look, if you didn't want to be in the office, no soup for you. Like, this is not the company for you anymore. You're going to come back 5 days, whether you like it or not. Number one. Two is we don't want any managers here anymore, or at least we want 25 less of you managers, because we hate bureaucracy, and we hate bureaucracy so much. We put a little box in the mailroom that you can put your slips of paper in. And do you remember the old company suggestion box?
Yeah, I do. Did you use it?
I've never used it, and I wonder, I don't think they were ever collected either.
I just aired my grievances like a real adult.
Right. Yeah, just go into your boss's office and let them have it.
Exactly. It's probably why I never got a 5 rating.
Yeah. No, that I'm sure it served you well in your career, and
Sure did.
And you got on a rapid promotion path.
Straight to the top. Yeah. I think we've got actually a video of what went down. That might have been what you were going to introduce, Rick. Yeah, just to see how it all played out.
Yeah, Andy Jassy talking about his latest moves.
I mean, who's your source, Rick? That's pretty.
I love this. Yeah, this is clearly Andy Jassy made a deal with the devil, and he's bringing all the workers back to the office and laying off the ones who don't want to come back.
Yeah, he made a deal, and he's not afraid of the ramifications. But again, in this article, he reinforced to his workforce, these things just aren't true. So is this a bit of a PR smoke and mirrors, or do you think there's some sincerity? He really just wants to bring the culture back.
Look, I do think he is sincere. Andy Jassy is a company man. He's been at Amazon forever. Since he was like 12 or something. I think at this point now he's like 85. So I think those are actual numbers.
This is all facts. All facts here.
Yeah, only facts here on the Watson Weekend. So I do think that he is trying to reduce cost to serve and removing management layers. I think he truly believes that Amazon needs to move faster, and an SVP reporting to a GM, reporting to a director, reporting to a manager is not the way to move faster, even at Amazon. How that will work out, and can you sort of thread that needle to keep the company moving without losing knowledge, is I think another thing that he'll have to deal with as part of these changes. But Amazon is being pushed to dance by Temu and Shein, and that dance has to do with offering lower price assortment at cheaper prices. And to do that, Amazon needs to keep getting cheaper.
Yeah, they got to find the pocket somewhere. So similar but different story, because This is a marketplace focused podcast today. We have some news on the other side of the pond with the EU, who are starting to break down and go after some companies with their Digital Services Act. And the Digital Services Act really was to put more strict scrutiny and make sure that platforms are doing good by their customers. They're keeping people safe. They are, gamifying things. They're providing quality products. They're doing right by the customer. And so Temu is kind of the latest under this ruling and this act that has fallen under fire after they submitted a response to the EU, where they had to fill out a questionnaire and they had to provide some insights on their practices. And essentially they're questioning the quality of their goods. They are also questioning the gamification of how they trick users to stay on the platform. And of course, Temu says we're guaranteeing a level playing field. We fully appreciate and respect the laws that keep the EU market safe, and we ultimately are going to comply with all of the things that the EU regulators are asking us to do. And, what's actually interesting to me more so than the fact that Temu came under fire, because, yeah, everyone could call that from a mile away, is who isn't on this list that the EU went out and started to request information from about a year ago. So I think Vinny's going to pull this up. You got your normal people that you'd expect: AliExpress, Amazon,
Facebook,
porn site. Shein, Facebook, LinkedIn's kind of a surprise. TikTok. Who's missing?
I don't see eBay on here.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, eBay's not on here. So what do you think that means? Did they just done a great job of cleaning up their act?
Yeah, there's no fraud. Yeah, there's no fraud on eBay anymore. Number one.
No fraud. Goods are sold. Everything's authentic for sure. They don't even need the 100% authentic badge because everything is authentic.
No badge needed.
Or did they just, does this mean they're irrelevant off the list?
Hundo P. I think that is that is the answer.
They're not even worth going after.
The EU is, while this investigation was underway, eBay kind of slipped out the back. And so what do we do now here? Temu, obviously, look, they're just happy to be on the radar at all. Their growth has been super high. And I think a lot of these regulations, we talked about gamification, that's also come up in the US. In the US, we call it dark patterns. And the FTC has issued some regulations against dark patterns. I think there's some question in my mind, where do dark patterns start and gamification end? Meaning the sites are trying to keep you on the site and click around, but at some point, if they get you to do something that is annoying, I don't know, just saying, eight pop-ups on the damn page sometimes, and then make you play a game just to go hit the add to cart button. Those things aren't games; those are annoying.
Yes, they're a nuisance. Or you can't unsubscribe, or somehow you can't get off their email list, or who knows, right? But
exactly.
Yes, that is for sure the delineation we're talking about here. I don't think this is a real hit to Temu at all. It'll be an annoyance and a nuisance, but they'll just keep on rocking and doing what they do. Double-digit growth.
No, we're excited on here, and we're gonna get I think a big distinction between some of these EU and US differences and some of these marketplaces from Jorrit, who's about to come on, which is actually, I think, a great segue 100%. For our guest that we're super excited about. Why don't you tell us more, Jess?
Yeah, so Jorrit, we're so excited to have him here, the founder of ChannelEngine, which really focuses on helping retailers, brands, distributors access the millions of new customers that exist by, connecting those dots and going out to marketplaces globally. Jorrit's been active in e-commerce for almost 20 years. He's got strong expertise in B2C, B2B, and D2C. We got all the acronyms today.
Yeah.
Commerce, marketplaces, SaaS, there's another one for you. And most importantly, international platform strategies, because that's where I think a lot of domestic businesses, sellers, retailers keep trying to find growth, right? You feel like you've tapped out on the market here. Where's the next opportunity? And so we're going to unpack that with Jorrit. And welcome to the show.
Hi guys, happy Friday. Thanks for
Happy
having me on.
Friday. Thank you for being here. Where are we finding you now in this virtual world?
I'm currently in our headquarters in the Netherlands. We've got teams in North America as well, but currently in Europe. So it's getting dark outside.
I know. Yeah. Well, thank you for hanging with us. We're really excited to get into all things marketplaces with you. I think we wanted to start talking first, though, about artificial intelligence because it's playing such an interesting role in not only commerce, and we hear, the investments that Amazon and Google and others are making, but there was a article this week about Perplexity and delivering this first AI search engine. We have a video that I think we're going to show briefly just of how what they're essentially doing. And I'm curious to unpack that with you and get your feedback on it.
I'm actually using.
Oh, no. Great. Yeah.
Go ahead with the video.
Could become their own marketplace. And so I'm super interested to hear your reaction to that. Does it surprise you? Does it excite you? Does it worry you? As someone who's so steeped in this marketplace world?
Yes, I missed the first part, but I think you said Perplexity is becoming our own marketplace.
Well, it seems like it could. I mean, it's certainly serving up results from different retailers and brands from, one interface.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, in my opinion, everything that has a certain audience on their website, app, or wherever they are looking for products is becoming transactional. So is becoming a marketplace. And we've seen it over the years. Of course, the retailers becoming marketplaces first. Then you've got all the social media becoming transactional, like TikTok and Instagram and many other places. The chat interfaces in Asia are a big marketplace as well. You see it popping up even in WhatsApp commerce. So definitely all the AI search engines will become transactional as well. And I think Perplexity is a good example of something that could be a segue into many new customers. And we're actually optimizing for Perplexity search or AI search with our company as well, because search is changing.
That's fascinating. I mean, I think you're like almost breaking news here because you're saying that on these AI search sites, we're going to be able to buy on them. Do you think that you'll see Perplexity incorporate a wallet into the transaction directly? Is that something that's kind of in?
They haven't disclosed it, but I would assume as soon as I see a lot of product searches, that will be the next big step, because that will mean they will get some customer data. It will be a big difference compared to ChatGPT, because ChatGPT now also just introduced their search, integrated search, to compete against Perplexity. And Perplexity is basically a search engine on top of different LLMs. So of course, OpenAI wants it on their platform. So there's a lot of competition. So I definitely expect more shopping in there as well.
Yeah. Do you think so closing the loop isn't always as simple as it feels, right? Because who owns the customer? Where are you passing data? Do you feel like they partner with someone to help power some of that wallet, or they've got the mechanism, they've got the infrastructure to now go out and really do what a traditional marketplace will do and think about the buyer seller side?
Yeah, so I don't think it's there yet, but I do expect different platforms, including Perplexity, to become a marketplace. But it will take some time to create a robust infrastructure around it, because it's not only getting the checkout, it's also about making sure you can onboard the merchants, make sure you can have inventory management connected, have a whole process in place on that end, and then do the payouts in different regions. And these
Yes.
platforms are global from the get-go, so that needs a lot of planning. And I've seen that with TikTok as well. When they rolled out, there was a lot of planning and very fast execution. But first they went live in Southeast Asia, then UK, then US,
Mhm.
and then rolling it out in throughout Europe with different requirements they have to adhere to.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like these AI search engines, it's almost a throwback in some way, because if you look at sort of the social commerce discovery based platforms, they already know so much about the user. You're just sort of scrolling through and swiping, and things are coming to you. Whereas this is still more of a search type avenue where it's almost competing more with like Google Shopping,
Mhm.
or you, as you said, maybe one day Amazon, maybe not yet, anytime soon. But can you talk a little bit about the discovery inspiration side of shopping from a marketplace point of view versus the kind of the seeking searching side?
Yeah, sure. And maybe touching upon AI as well. So
Mm-hmm.
people are now all jumping on AI because
Mm,
generative AI came on board. But AI has been part of shopping and marketplace for a very, very long time. So I
mm,
remember the first marketplace app was Wish,
Yes.
where I saw these optimizations of their algorithm
mm,
completely based on how deep is your inventory, but also on uh, user preferences. So I
Mhm.
remember pushing in products with a certain price and certain shipping
mm,
price, and they changed it depending on the customer. Because some people were more convinced by free shipping and others by low price. So that was the first time I saw it, and that was about 6 or 7 years ago. If we look at more the inspirational shopping versus transactional shopping, a lot of transactional shopping people go to Amazon or local heroes. I'm going to talk about that as well on a
mm.
specific platform. Inspirational shopping is more on the social platforms. The TikTok made me buy it, Instagram, you see it, or you can even see a video on YouTube, get inspired, click, and have this impulse buy on the spot, do the transaction there. And that's why it's so important to control all these different channels all at the same time.
Yeah, do you feel like, as you've seen AI and how it gets incorporated, who outside of what Perplexity is doing, but even within like the core marketplace, you mentioned Wish, who's doing some really interesting things? Who do you feel like is cutting edge that maybe isn't on our radar? We talk about Amazon a lot, but are there any other interesting things you're seeing from marketplaces and how they're using AI?
I think the biggest players in using AI is also their success is TikTok.
Mm,
Mhm.
So they really nailed down the algorithm of showing the relevant content, the relevant
mm,
products for you in a very short time. Um, but a lot of the other marketplaces also have AI as a basis of their optimizations of their search engine rankings, of their recommended products, their cross-selling, upselling, the ads they show is all AI driven for a very long time. And I think the next generation is going to be optimized, not only pricing per user, but also different titles, different tone of voice, depending on the different platforms, the different user that is logged in. So I expect in the future different users logging in and seeing different content on the same product.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's fascinating. I mean, another area where AI seems to be penetrating is, I would say, the influencer creator economy, which we've talked about some on the show here. Obviously, influencer, like way back in the day, we used to talk about affiliates, right? And so your product, you try to get your product there and people talk about it, and then you get links back. Amazon is obviously one of the creators and innovators of the affiliate program. Now, the creator brands are starting to create AI avatars that had, we saw this on Instagram, fake Insta profiles that recommend products and things. Now you have fully generative video spokespeople that are fake. Consumers, I think this is super interesting, because at the end of the day, consumers don't care. They just want something interesting and relevant. And if AI can produce that to you, is that your view, Jorrit, or do you think that this has some gray area as well?
I think it's going to be a very slippery slope.
Hmm.
And I'm curious, are you the real Rick Watson? That's the question. Are you the avatar? I don't know if you guys don't know if you guys saw the interview.
Yeah, Minority Report.
Yeah.
Did you see the interview of Reid Hoffman with himself with his
Yeah.
Yeah.
own AI? So it's not there yet, but it's almost there, and it provides a lot of opportunity as well to really scale production of content that works, personalize it, and that could work for brands if they embrace this. And I think that's the key for a lot of brands, to use AI to their advantage, creating
Mhm.
content way quicker, creating content that matches a certain tone of voice with a high quality of text, creating specific images for different target audiences. And we're looking at that as well, to differentiate the content to different channels, different regions, adjust product content to different cultures. So there's so much opportunity, and it wouldn't be possible to do that with a small team if you're not using AI.
Yeah. And what about on the seller side? So, you part of what I think is interesting in Shein's model, and we talked about this earlier, is all the data that you're able to get and understand, how what things are selling, more predictive analysis. I always, when I was at eBay, I always would get frustrated because, like, we have so much data. Why aren't we pushing this out to sellers to tell them what inventory should they be sourcing? What are the top 20, top 100 keywords of what people are looking for? Where do we have gaps in our assortment? How are we getting in front of that? Is anybody doing that well and providing more data to the seller side that's going to help them shore up what they bring to the marketplace and the value they can add?
Not well enough.
Mm.
So some platforms are providing some data, but typically they need to rely on the actual sales of their own brand
Mm.
on these different platforms, and then forecast how much are you going to sell in different regions. So it's hard because some platforms like Amazon is sharing data, they're selling data.
Mm.
So and then you don't have the consumer behavior on these platforms, so you don't see what others are selling on these platforms. But then again, you didn't have that when you just had your own e-commerce store in Google either.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So there is an advantage if you have the right product content, and you know a little bit how algorithms work. You can influence them on marketplace as well, because marketplaces are large search engines. Yes, AI driven, but if you know what they're looking for, you can influence that. And the fun thing is, on marketplace, it's not just organic results where you can optimize for keywords, but you can influence it with advertising spend as well. If you do that strategically, you can just accelerate your sales velocity and then come on top on these rankings. So there's a combination. No,
Yeah.
you don't have all the data, but if you know the patterns, then you can leverage that. And the hardest one to optimize for is, for instance, Amazon, because you have 600
Mhm.
million products to compete against. But
Mm.
that's
Mhm.
where we can look at all the other different platforms, retailers that became a marketplace, smaller marketplace in different regions that are local heroes that are less sophisticated. So all the stuff that you used to be able to do on Amazon and is now sort of forbidden or hard to do or optimized, you can still do on all these other different
Yeah.
marketplaces. And there are marketplaces with 10 billion in GMV, but only 10,000 sellers as opposed to the millions of sellers on Amazon. So if you focus on those kind of marketplaces,
Mhm.
it's super easy to optimize in a certain category and become a winner and do way more
Yeah.
volume than you would be able to do on page 26 on an
Right.
Amazon.
I like the idea of these local heroes. I mean, obviously, one of the problems that brands have is getting enough scale and operational efficiency to be able to be on more than just Amazon, which is usually the 80-20 rule for a lot of
Right.
brands. But it doesn't mean aren't a lot of pockets and opportunities. I love the term local heroes. And I think you have a particularly unique perch at the ChannelEngine command center of view of the world's marketplaces. Is there one that comes to your mind when you think about it doesn't have to be your favorite local hero, because I don't want you to pick your favorite child, and no parent can do that, but one that kind of piques your interest when you think about it, like a leading marketplace within a niche market that sellers should think about more.
Yeah, so looking at local heroes, we typically look at a region. So we
Mm.
started in Europe. Now we are a global company, and we see 950 marketplaces that we connected. worldwide. So that's a massive network. But in
Wow.
Europe, there's a big difference. So there's a huge misconception, especially if I
Mm,
speak to people in the US, that Amazon is the winner in all the regions.
mm,
Hmm.
Yes, Amazon is big in the UK, in Germany, in
yeah.
France, and in Spain. Not even in France that big. In Poland, you need to be on Allegro. In the Netherlands, you need to be on bol.com, which is doing way more volume still than Amazon. You've got CDON in Sweden, etc., etc. So using these platforms super well is an advantage. And these are just the horizontal generalized marketplaces like
Right.
Amazon, where you can sell anything. If you want to sell apparel, fashion, you need to be on Zalando in Europe.
Mm,
Or if you're selling high luxury, expensive fashion, there's a platform called 24S.
mm.
Almost nobody knows it unless you're spending a fortune on bags and stuff like that, but it's owned by the LVMH group. So you need to be a
Oh,
very
Jess.
expensive
interesting.
brand to be on that platform. Same goes with Farfetch. There's a massive backstory for Farfetch, but higher end ticket prices are very well sold on Farfetch. We recently opened up in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, different
Oh, wow.
marketplace, different
Mm,
dynamic. Um, and that's also a massive opportunity for brands. And I think that's where we can tie into the whole discussion. I get these questions a lot between Shein and Temu and the actual marketplaces and where's the opportunity. Over the years, I've seen a lot of cheaper stuff on
mm,
all the marketplaces. And that's where the competition is between
mm.
Temu and Amazon,
Hmm.
Temu and bol.com, and Temu and
Hmm.
all these different marketplaces. But it's basically somebody buying stuff on Alibaba, put on their logo and
Yeah.
sell the markup on a marketplace. So these products were available already, but we're now cutting out all the middlemen. And I
Yeah.
think to be able to be successful on all the marketplaces, you need to have a standout quality brand, um, and sell that on very focused marketplaces with the right brand adjacency. Which other brands are they selling? Getting the quality there, getting your operations at a very high level, so the customer has their right consumer experience. And then the opportunities are endless. And then you can have a relatively small team that can focus on many channels at the same time. So there's quite some opportunities, not only in Europe or Asia with some of these specific marketplaces, but also in the US.
Yeah.
Because the
You
US,
you mentioned you mentioned Alibaba and as part of your thing, and Jess and I were talking toward the show, like it seemed at one point Alibaba was going to take over the world and go to
100%.
direct, Tmall was going to come across, or AliExpress. I
AliExpress.
definitely think penetrated into Europe some and the Middle East, but it didn't really make it so well into the US. Wish kind of became the next one, and now we're seeing Temu and Shein. What do you think Alibaba missed that some of these other Chinese and Far Eastern marketplaces have seen?
I think AliExpress was one of the earlier ones that did this cheap direct to consumer market pretty well, taking up a lot of market share from the big marketplaces. Um, Alibaba approached it a little bit different. So they launched different marketplaces in different regions to test it out. But they want to have a very big scale from the get-go.
Mm.
So sometimes you do a pilot, and then if it's not, I don't know, 100 billion in very short time, they're going to cut the pilot, as opposed to some of the other players. So I'm not sure why they chose that path, but I think they're a big investor in a lot of platforms that we don't even know they're investors in.
That's
Yeah,
fascinating.
they're like puppet mastering a lot of things behind the
Absolutely.
scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a separate question for you. We always had these like crazy marketplace stories, Rick and I, in dealing, in our channel advisor days, because the brands really give up so much control, right? And they hand over a lot of power to the marketplaces. I'm curious what advice you have, and you can help these brands navigate how to manage that. But also, I'd love to hear what's the craziest marketplace situation you've helped someone navigate lately.
Yeah, I think looking at marketplaces, and I hear you say the word control. I think it's important, especially
Hmm.
for brands, to be in control. Where is where is the consumer, and is your product there where they're searching, or do they find your competition? So you need to be in control, and that's not just on one platform. You need to be on all the different platforms, and then make sure you're not dependent on the control of the marketplace, right?
Mhm.
If you look at the biggest marketplaces, Amazon and Walmart, are they buying from you through 1P, or are you
Mhm.
on the marketplaces 3P? I always advise to go hybrid. Make sure you have that flexibility to shift between
Mm.
the two different business models. So if you
Nice.
don't get these purchase orders, you can still sell on 3P at scale.
Right.
Mhm.
But then use that technology in between to have all these different other channels where you can say, I'm going to optimize for margin. So if you have 1,000 items in stock, and you know you're going to make more money on one of the other marketplaces, you can set rules. So you're going to sell less on Amazon. You're going to sell more on the other
Mhm.
marketplaces where you
Yeah.
maybe have lower return rates, lower seller fees. For instance, TikTok has a super low seller fees,
Hmm.
and almost no one is using it yet. And that's happening across the globe. So there's a lot of opportunities there to seize, and typically also way more regions to seize than most brands are looking at.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Rick's definitely using TikTok on the consumer side. I mean, look at his hair. It's where he gets all his hair products from. We can't get
Exactly.
that style for
Yeah.
nothing.
No, it doesn't come for free. I tell you that.
It does not.
Or maybe it does. I don't know.
There's a lot of
Um,
research and heart that goes into that.
exactly. Would love to switch gears a little bit and talk about um look, you're an entrepreneur that's been in the game for a long time, and I think a lot of people in the audience are interested in how do you start a software company? What was the inspiration for ChannelEngine? What was the hardest thing about the early days? So why don't you take us back to that time?
Yeah, so starting and growing company is always easy and smooth sailing. Nothing goes wrong.
You sleep
Uh,
really well at night, right? You get lots of sleep.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. No, it's always a journey, right? The idea is the simple part. So I've been building technology companies for 20 years. Started off with building e-commerce solutions, then with one of my customers launched our own e-commerce operations. And it was back in 2004 when there was
Mm,
no e-commerce platform that you could
yeah.
just download or get a SaaS subscription and do it. So we had to build everything ourselves, from backend system, warehousing, purchasing system, data feeds to comparison sites or affiliates, like you said, Rick.
Yeah.
And then on the front end, forecasting, all that stuff, there was no SaaS available.
Mm,
So we're in a continuously beta version. So we did changes on the fly, which was fun. But it was also in a luxury position because back then search engine optimization was easy.
right.
You just thought of a keyword, register a domain name with the keyword in it, did link building and affiliate marketing, which still worked for link building and ranking in Google. So that's how we scored a lot of results in e-commerce. And there was no Google Shopping on top. There was no marketplace yet that were
Mhm.
bidding on the same keywords. So different dynamics. But then Amazon came, eBay came, bol.com in the Netherlands, and we started selling on those platforms. And we launched our own marketplace. So I thought, well, if the market is shifting towards this, you need a
Mm,
scalable solution to not just connect all these different APIs, but also have a management layer in between. Because back then we had 30,000 different SKUs in stock, and you don't want to sell everything everywhere. You don't want
30,000
to,
SKUs.
yeah, 30,000
Impressive.
SKUs. There was no drop shipment back then. So you had to have everything in stock, and it ranged from very small items to Weber barbecues that we had in stock for as soon as sun started shining. So we needed technology, and there was nothing available. So I thought, well, let's build that. So started with the first concept of ChannelEngine with a small team. Sold the previous company of our retail company, and in parallel started experimenting with the technology. But you can imagine it was way too early in the market because the first idea was 11 years ago. And yes, Channel Advisor was already there in the US, but not in Europe yet at the scale that we needed.
Yep.
So back then I spoke to brands telling them they're going to sell direct to consumer marketplace, and they all thought I was crazy because there was a channel conflict and a lot of retailers saw
Yes.
marketplace as competition. So
Yes.
it was too early, but it gave us the opportunity to fine tune the technology for a couple of years and then started scaling further. And I think the first shift was early 2020 when COVID hit, and a lot of brands finally had the guts to open up, do
Right.
this strategy direct
Do you
to
think
consumer,
COVID
do
was
marketplace.
do you think COVID was unlock for a lot of brands who are even
Yes.
still in 2021
I think
skeptical
that
of marketplaces?
hesitation that they had, and they were so nice to the resellers, and once the retail stores were closed, they were like, I need to get rid of this
We got to do
inventory. So
stuff. Yeah.
let's go. And for me, that was the signal to say, all right, if brands are
Mm.
finally going to do this, we need a global network. So we set up all these different entities and teams in Australia, Singapore, Middle East, and in New York and in Toronto, and started building that global network, not just with marketplace, but also with 3PLs. Because if you want to sell in a new
Right.
region, you need a 3PL, and you need a
Yeah.
local agency that helps you out. So it was a crazy journey over time, but it's yeah. One of the questions you asked was, did anything go wrong?
Yeah, yeah. What's
Uh,
kind of the story that stands out that that really kept you up at night?
I think one of them, especially in the beginning, to get this done, you need to
Hmm.
get into the marketplaces, right? So it's a chicken and egg
Mhm.
situation. And in the beginning, I wanted to get into fashion because it's one of the biggest verticals
Sure.
in e-commerce. So then you go to fashion brands, and the first thing in Europe they say, right, do you have Zalando? No, we don't. Then you go to Zalando, it's like, oh, which fashion brands do you have? We don't. So you have this catch 22 that you need.
Hmm.
Oh, Jorrit, we lost you for a bit. I think you're on mute.
You're right. We lost you on mic. You muted yourself, I think. There he goes. Yeah, I think we got you now.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you again. Can you hear me?
Okay, great.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yep, that's great. Yeah, can you
Well, what can go wrong? Technology.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Let's have to drop.
I mean, we're just trying to run a basic podcast here, and here we go. Somehow the AI muted you. We're gonna blame it on the AI.
No, I'm just gonna blame it on the headset. Need to try and buy it. Which one I get.
Yeah. So you were in the middle of your story with Zalando and the fashion brands.
Yeah. So most important part is breaking that catch 22, breaking through to get the channels, to get the brands, and then it spins up from there.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
That's
that's
amazing.
yeah, it's definitely fascinating. I mean, 950 marketplaces. It seems to me that there are a lot of under the radar ones for brands that they should be paying attention to. Like, who are the sleeping giants in your mind that brands should be paying more attention to?
I think the sleeping giants are actually the retailers that became a marketplace. So if you look in North America, it's the Macy's, Sears, Bloomingdale's, but also Saks Fifth Avenue, and a lot of them don't even advertise that they are a marketplace. So they opened up the marketplace model.
Yeah.
And if you have the right spot-on brand that fits that audience, that's a huge opportunity. You see the same thing in Europe with Decathlon, with MediaMarkt, and many other retailers that provide a lot of value. And that's an easy gateway into new consumers. And what we typically see if you go into a new region and you utilize those different marketplaces, that there's a halo effect as well. So once you launch on a certain marketplace, you see product searches for your brand on different marketplaces and different search engines as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say J. Crew probably is not, though, in your sleeping giant list. I think that was a try and fail situation. I feel like there's like one pair of earrings still left that's sold from some marketplace seller. It's like remnant of inventory they haven't cleaned up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's like the toilets that were on the Barnes and Noble marketplace for a few minutes.
Yeah, kitchen sink. We kitchen sink that thing.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
But this has been a fantastic conversation. We really appreciate your insights. I mean, it's crazy to think in 2024 there are still brands that are not on marketplaces, or they are not diversified enough. They have all their eggs in one basket. I really loved your point about kind of 1P versus 3P and supporting various business models. And I think your retailer specific marketplace point is spot on from the sleeping giant point of view. And it's something a lot of brands don't think about. So I appreciate you bringing that to our audience as well.
Yeah, it feels like you guys also have your finger on the pulse of how to help people with optimizing inventory strategy, optimizing the way that they make the most of these marketplaces. So it's exciting to see what you all have achieved, because I know going global is super challenging and setting up all these relationships. And so it's exciting. We look forward to continuing to follow your journey and how you guys keep evolving. And do you want to stay on for the dance party?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
All right.
I think connecting to all these different channels is hard, building global network, but a lot of companies overestimate how hard it is to go into new regions if you use the right technology. So it is doable. You see even smaller teams going into multiple continents and managing it from a local perspective with the right partners that can just really scale.
Yeah. No, it's really smart. So appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing your dance moves. We got to hit one thing that Rick's going to bring us into, a new segment just in time for the holidays.
Yeah, I think the exciting thing about the holiday season, and we get to mix things up and try new things. And what would the holidays be without some cool and cringe holiday commercials? And so this is a new segment that we're going to do through the end of December, where we will preview a new retailer's ad that they've put up on YouTube and presumably on normal TV. I guess people watch normal TV still. And we're gonna show that here, and we're actually gonna start with Shark Ninja speaking. I think Jorrit is a footballer, and Mr. Beckham is first up, so we're gonna run that. And here we go.
Dude, David Beckham is so domesticated.
Yeah, he's got skills.
He does. I mean, look at that.
The pie, he baked
What
the
took
pie.
you all so long?
Yes, I don't want to steal your thunder here, Rick, but you really feel like they missed an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have David Beckham on here. You're selling blenders. Hello, guys. Blend it like Beckham. Where were we here? There we go, Linda.
Linda,
you're with me.
Yeah,
They totally missed it.
Yeah, bringing the heat. So, David Beckham is everywhere. We talked about AliExpress. He was the new face, especially around the World Cup timeframe. So it's pretty amazing. We're gonna say this is a win or a fail, Rick, just because they missed the pun.
I'm gonna call it a fail.
All right.
Also, I would have much rather seen Sporty Spice in this ad too, helping him out.
Yeah, seriously.
Should be a family affair.
Where's Vicky in all this?
Yeah,
we left her out.
Victoria, we need to see you.
We left Vic, but and Posh Spice for sure. So there was a lot that they could do in there. But like with the spice, right? Spices, Posh Spice. Maybe they just couldn't afford it. But
so many things missed. So many missed
opportunities. Well, you guys can be part of this. Send us your videos as well. Vinny's flashes his email, but we are looking for some recos here. And all right, Miles, we'll take a look at the John Lewis one and let us know if it's a win or a fail from your perspective. The holidays are here.
Awesome. We're excited to bring Jorrit back on. Dance party. I think we're surprising him with the dance party. Think about a discotheque in about 20 seconds, and that's all you need to do. And so just do what feels naturally. There's no rules. Bye. See you next week. Thanks, Jorrit.